Welcome back to Setting the Standard, the Coryell Roofing podcast. We're super excited again today to have some special guests all the way in from Minnesota. We have Chris Feldman, the president of 838 Coatings, recently named the president. Congratulations.
Thank you. As of January of 2025. Pretty exciting.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So exciting.
For sure.
And then Jamie Becker, regional sales manager covering the South for 838 Coatings. And Jamie, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
How long have you been with 838?
Just about 3 years.
Okay. You enjoying it?
I love it.
Good.
It's been great.
And you live up in Minnesota.
I do.
Travel down here to the South quite a bit.
Correct. Yep.
So we're in Dallas, Fort Worth today. I'm sure this is pretty common for you to be in this area.
It is.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of a second home.
Yeah. And Chris, you live in Minnesota as well.
Yes,
just
sir.
outside of St. Paul. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
What's it like living in Minnesota?
If you can get over the winters, it's not bad. But, the 2 weeks of summer, it's enjoyable.
2 weeks of summer.
Yeah.
That's good. So 838 Coatings, Chris, I've known you for a long time, and we've worked together for a long time. Jamie just recently, 3 years ago, but it's exciting to see what you guys have done with coatings and the roofing industry. And it's really exciting to see how you've progressed and built the company up, and now you're currently the president. How did that happen?
So I've been fluids or roofing for the last 25 years. And about 2013, 2014, three of us decided to get, a few of the guys back together and start a company called 838 Coatings, which originally was, 8 materials, 3 chemistries, restoring 8 substrates.
Okay.
Most people don't know that's what it actually stands for. But it's been fun, been a pleasure, getting to work with contractors like yourself. It's been an awesome experience, but it's already been 12 years. The time has just flown by. It's crazy.
Isn't it amazing how fast it goes?
And I think as you get older, you don't have your kids to judge off of. So the time even goes by faster as you get older. So it's crazy.
So, and you've had partners in that, your 2 buddies that you started it with, and then one of those partners, Tim, just recently retired. Is that correct?
Yep. So Tim retired here January 1st of 2025. So
Okay.
it's myself and Todd Wheatcraft would be the 2 owners of 838 Coatings.
Great. And you are now president.
And now president.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's so awesome.
Thank you. It's exciting. It's fun.
Fun industry, Jamie? You like working in the coatings industry?
It's a great industry. It's always changing. There's always new and different adventures. But yeah, I've been in it probably almost as long as Chris, about 25 years.
Yeah.
In some capacity or another. But yeah, it's been great.
Well, the reason we do this podcast is we're trying to bring professionalism and excellence to the roofing industry. It's very important to us. Setting the standard means that we live out our core values at Coryell Roofing daily, which is a commitment to excellence, a commitment to integrity, and a commitment to growth. And I've always felt like our partnership with 838 Coatings throughout the years embodies that 838 Coatings truly does focus on excellence and integrity and growth. And so really excited to have you guys here today to talk about coatings. I don't think coatings are talked about enough or a lot in the roofing industry. So maybe you can help us with that. Why did you choose coatings, Chris?
That's funny you brought that up. Back in 2000, fresh out of school, had a little bit of construction background. And in 2000s, you could really work anywhere you wanted. But I really went to work because of the people that were in it. And at the time in the 2000s, to convince somebody to do coating, it wasn't really convince them on to use your product. It was to convince them on a concept. The concept of, you want me to paint what? No, it's not paint. We're going to put an elastomeric coating on that stays pliable, flexible, and extends the life of your roof. But it's been enjoyable because it's different, and it really saves building owners a lot of money. If a coating is an option and is a fix, it's definitely an alternative to roof replacement if it's the right candidate. And it's been enjoyable to be part of. And seeing the growth from even 2000 to 2025 has been huge. It's crazy to watch.
I want to dig deeper into that in just a second, the growth of the coatings industry. Jamie, how did you come to the coatings industry? Tell us about your background.
Yeah, a little bit in different path than what Chris did. I come from a strong construction background from my family. I actually worked for my uncle's company and went to a seminar back probably, I guess, 99, somewhere in there. And I was like, man, these are a really cool group of guys. And the family aspect can have a little different dynamic to it. And reached out to some people that we knew, and like Chris said, it was a great atmosphere, good people, family-owned company, and just seemed like a great place to work. So that's kind of what sucked me in, and I've been in the roofing industry ever since. So,
What did you know about coatings before then?
very little to nothing. I had more of a general construction background.
And typically in the construction industry, that's what most people would say. They know what coatings mean. They don't necessarily know enough about coatings, and that's why I really want to dig in with you guys today. And we're going to kind of unwrap this thing. What is a coating? How does it serve, roof systems and commercial clients? And we're going to unpack that pretty strong. Awesome. So let's go back to this growth. Why? Why has it grown?
I think as more people get an education and understand what is all out there, I think our industry, and I say our industry, I'll say the fluid industry, has got a lot of growth opportunity yet. And it's really because I think of education. I think building owners, property management groups really don't understand what's out there. And for us, getting customers to be proactive versus reactive. So to restore a roof, you need to have some sort of life left into it. And if you don't, it gets to the point where you can't restore it and you can't use a coating. So I think as we get the general public more educated on what an elastomeric coating is or a coating can do, I think you're going to see that growth continue to rise. And the reason being is it can save 30, sometimes 70% more than roof replacement. So it's a huge cost savings if we can get on that roof before it's completely shot.
Yeah, and here in the South, I think the coating, the mindset of a coating has really taken hold, and it's being adopted more frequently, simply because when you look at it from a storm perspective, a lot of people early on in the coating days, they would look at it and say, does a coating stand up to severe storms? Insurance companies might have been a little scared of it, and that's all that education piece. Once they start to understand what it does, we've actually seen insurance companies take on coatings and say, you know what, that's a great solution to restore this roof and get it a little bit further down the road, even in temporary situations. Absolutely. Do you see that a lot now?
Absolutely. You see coatings, coating's not going to increase the value of a hail-resistant roof system, but utilizing it as a sacrificial barrier from UV, weathering, all that, it can really add extra life and take that life expectancy of 15 to 30 years up to 40, 50, 60 years, as long as we maintain that and take good care of that roof.
I love that you say that, because in Coryell Roofing's work with 838 coatings over the years, and we've been working together 12 years-ish.
Yeah, exactly.
I've always admired the fact that you guys are the first ones to say this is not a roof a coating is not applicable here. You've said that many, many, many times, almost sacrificially. You're the first guys to say, I would not recommend a coating on this roof system, which literally allows the property owner to make a decision on if they want to do a full replacement on that roof system or what their other options are. But can we talk a little bit about what roof systems do make sense for coatings? When is the right time for a coating?
Sure. If you look at coatings, there's really two roof systems that we wouldn't touch with a coating and wouldn't recommend it. Gravel BURs and loose laid ballasted anything.
Okay.
The ability to get those clean enough to accept a coating is very difficult. Then the other options, you get so many air pockets or voids that long term, as that roof weathers and ages and goes through the freeze-thaw cycles, you can have a lot of issues. But besides those two roof systems, metal roof restoration, great product to do. Any single ply roof, great candidate for elastomeric. The biggest thing though is getting a candidate or a building owner to be proactive, to get them to look at a coating as an option before the roof is completely shot. And that's where I think Coryell's done a good job, where you guys evaluate the roof, get us involved and see if it is a candidate, and we'll be the first ones to tell you that if it isn't or is a candidate. The last thing we want to do is put you guys in a situation where you put a roof system out there that's not going to perform.
Right.
One, we want to protect our relationship. Two, we want to protect your customer. We just want to have a good system installed for your building owner to make sure that we get that long life expectancy out of it.
And how long is it reasonable to expect a coating application to extend the life of a roof?
All reality, 10, 15. I know there are some 20-year systems out there, but anything beyond that. What's really, really cool, though, about an elastomeric or a coating system is they're all renewable. So if we can get out 10, 12, 15 years, we can come back in, clean that roof, put another rejuvenated coat of elastomeric coating on that, and get another 10, 15 years. Typically 10, 15, And like I said, sometimes you'll get 20 years out of them, but we really like to stay around that 10 to 15 years.
You know, to the thought of being able to get 10 more years out of a roof system with the cost of materials today, that's very appealing to a lot of business owners, a lot of commercial entities. So we work with a lot of schools throughout the South. And when we talk about coatings as an option, let's just take one roof type, for example. We're working with a school district and they have metal roofs. We all know that metal roofs expand and contract, especially in the South when you have a lot of extreme heats and fluctuations in temperature. They're mechanically fastened to the support system of the building. So the fasteners themselves have grommets that actually hold the roof down. There's a lot of leak points on a metal roof. We all know that. And anybody that's ever had to maintain a metal roof, they've experienced it. So what does a coating do for an aged metal roof? How does that work?
I'll grab this one.
Go ahead.
If you don't mind. So metal is a great conductor of energy. So they tend to do a lot of expanding, contracting, right?
Yep.
So as you get very hot in the summer months and really cold in winter, you'll see those metal roofs expand and contract, which really wears out those rubber grommets, the mastics that's inside there. So what we do is we come and take a look at these roofs. We say, okay, the shortfalls are your seams, your fasteners, your penetrations. We're going to build up those areas with 70, 80 mils of protection, and then we're going to cool that roof down by putting on a white elastomeric coating. And what that does is it reduces that thermal expansion contraction in the summer months, reducing the shock and the actual force that's being put on all those screws, those seams. So we reduce the temperature and protect the system, the surface of the metal, and basically add life to both your rubber grommets, your seams, your fasteners, and we make everything perform long term for the building owner.
And it looks new.
And it looks brand new.
It's a monolithic fluid applied membrane that's applied directly to the metal and literally covers and protects that roof system for up to 10, 15 years beyond that time.
So when it's done, there's no seams, there's no exposure for any failure points. Everything is 100% monolithic, like you just said.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Jamie, I'm curious, Chris referenced earlier that, there's potentially 30 to 70% savings in the cost of a system replacement versus going with a coating that will get you about 10 years further down the road, 10 to 15 years. Is that pretty common? Are you seeing those numbers play out when you're working with your contractors and clients out in the field?
Absolutely. I mean, when you look, I think you referenced it before, just the cost of materials today are way more expensive than they've ever been. So when you look at a coating system versus a retrofit or even a new roof or a tear-off replacement type option, you're seeing that 30 to 70% difference day in and day out. And, it varies from contractor to contractor depending on overhead and, there's some variables there that come into play. But as a whole, we see that 30 to 70% savings consistently throughout.
There's a lot of talk about coatings in the roofing industry. A lot of our clients aren't aware of what's available out there. So as we approach that subject with clients, if they don't have a budget for a full replacement, and a lot of times they don't, people, they get shocked when they understand, I've got to replace my entire roof system and it's going to cost a lot of money and we didn't plan for this, because roofs are something that can kind of sneak up on you if you're not staying on top of them, no pun intended. If you're not aware of the conditions of your roof and you're not proactive with them, like you said, it can sneak up on you and all of a sudden you're faced with a huge cost for full replacement. So with all of the technologies that have advanced, and you mentioned that it's changing all the time, what kind of coating materials are available out there? And can you kind of tell us, we've got acrylics, we've got silicones. Tell us what you guys offer and what they would apply to.
Absolutely. So we have a full service offering. We've got acrylic, which is water-based. We've got a silicone-based coating. We have some SEBSs, and we do a little bit with urethane. So we really carry all the chemistries that are currently available. But I'll be honest, we really try to marry the right chemistry with the right application. Okay. So what we use on a metal roof may not be what we use on a TPO restoration or a PVC restoration. So we really marry the right chemistry with the right application. By having that offering, we're never trying to force a square block into a round hole. We're always making sure that we're marrying the right products with the right substrate.
Okay.
So we really take a system approach to all of the systems that we do and make sure that we marry it with the right product. That's going to give them that 10, 15, 20-year life expectancy.
So other than built-up roofs and gravel ballasted roofs, any kind of roof system you can look at it and determine quickly if one of your chemical compounds actually would be a solution for that roof system.
Absolutely.
When is it not a good option? What helps you determine as a manufacturer when not to put a coating on a roof?
So we use a rule, if it's 20% wet, and if it's all in one segregated area where you can do a nice tear out area, replace that and then get a dry substrate, go ahead and restore it, right? You start getting 20, 30% and it's all over the roof where there's wet, saturated insulation. There's problems where they have a lot of leaks and a lot of moisture's been in that system. The last thing you want to do is put a coating over that because you end up with blisters, you end up with problems. Once the roof is shot or worn out, it's time to replace it and put a new roof on. We don't want to put a coating in place and cause an issue where someone wastes money to utilize a coating when it wasn't the right fit. But we'll do other things to check too. We'll check adhesion, if it's been previously coated or if it's got a different finish on there. We'll really come out and analyze that roof, not just aesthetically, but we'll do some cores, we'll check adhesion, and then depending on if it ponds water or doesn't pond water, we have some different chemistries that we'll utilize to make sure that we put the right system together for them.
Makes sense. Jamie, are you seeing that consistently out there? You typically have the right chemical compound for the roofs that you're looking at, other than the two that we mentioned. Pretty much have a solution for any situation you run into?
Absolutely. I mean, for the most part, we've got a solution for all the situations. I think Chris said it right. We don't have a one size fits all offering. We really try to take it case by case and roof by roof because there's just so many different variables that come into play.
That just made me realize, that's got to be so labor intensive for you guys because number one, you have to train and educate your contractors to know what they're looking for. But then you guys are also on the roofs as well, correct?
We are.
So just about every 838 coating that goes down, you have a representative that has either looked at that roof or is going to be on it?
If we're putting a full system warranty and 838's writing the warranty on it, absolutely, we're walking every roof, usually post or pre and post. If it's not a warranted roof and they're just trying to get down the road a little bit, we may not walk on every roof, but I'll be honest, we don't sell to every roofing contractor out there. We're really strategic in who we partner with, and we do that on purpose. We want to make sure that who's installing our product is capable of installing it, and then two, that it's going to be a partnership that if there's an issue or a problem that we can work together to make sure long-term that we take care of the customer.
Well, that's got to be really beneficial for your business model because you know who your partners are. It's not like people are buying your product off a shelf and then applying it and then you have to deal with a warranty or workmanship related issue. You know who's putting it on. That's got to be powerful. Do your customers appreciate that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Most definitely. And it keeps our arms around things and keeps control of the products and the systems and keeps things performing the way we want them to long term.
Got it.
Yeah, we'll be as active as a contractor wants us to be. I know you guys at Coryell are awesome. The fact that if there's anything that doesn't quite look right, you're calling us and we're looking at it. Staying seam metal roof or R panel metal roof, you do so many of those, kind of what the process is. You may send us some pictures and say, hey, this one looks a little rusty. We got primers for that. But if there's ever a question, your team at Coryell is awesome. The fact that they call us, we get out there, inspect it, do whatever we need to do, and then put it in evaluation together. Put the right products, the right substrate, and make sure we put together a good system.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of coating manufacturers on the market. I mean, I think with a growing industry, you get people that pop up and jump into the industry pretty regularly. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
Wait, you've seen a lot of companies form a compound and offer their coatings in the recent years. And is it a saturated market right now? Is it oversaturated?
I would say no. I mean, there's so much growth in our industry that there's a lot of opportunity. But I'll tell you the one thing that does make us different are guys like Jamie. Yep. I mean, he's one of many out with boots on the street, evaluating roofs, making sure we're working with the right contractors, putting the right systems with the right products, all that stuff. So our team is next to none. They've all got, I think every single one of them's got at least 5 to 7 years of fluid applied experience for commercial roofing.
Which you really just answered the question I was about to ask. I wanted to understand what differentiates 838 in the market and how you guys rise above to be considered the quality experts in coating applications. And that's what it is. It's the people, right? Yep. And Jamie talked about that when he came to 838. He's like, these are great people. I want to work with these kind of people. Mm-hmm. And we've found that with our team as well, working with the 838 team. There hasn't been a time that we called you guys that you weren't there to help us, to identify issues, to determine if a roof was coating worthy. There's so many things that you guys help contractors out with. And I know you have many contractors throughout the nation, many contractors in the South as well. That's got to be pretty intensive when you're talking about getting around to everybody, right, Jamie?
It is, most definitely. And I think Chris hit on it too. It's the one thing we're really good about is we're okay with saying no. And, and you guys know, we'll write letters saying why we won't do something or why it's not a good idea to help you guys sell a different different system over a substrate because a coating isn't applicable. So I think we're a little bit rare in the fact that we're okay with saying no, and we probably say more than we say yes.
You guys are definitely rare in that. I alluded to that earlier. You guys are extremely good at helping people understand when is the right time to do a coating and when is the wrong time to do a coating. And so it's crystal clear on our end, which allows us to properly communicate that to the end user. We work with a lot of schools in the South, and school budgets and fund balances can create quite an issue. When you're dealing with leaks in classrooms, you don't want those disruptions. You don't want to have constant challenges with buckets in hallways and trash cans catching water. It's not safe for students. It's not productive for the education and the learning environment. And I think 838 has provided so many solutions that can create a stopgap for that. Schools and all of the clients that we work with, they should truly understand that this is something that literally can alleviate the issues instantly, get you further down the road where you can plan and prepare for that budget. Is that a safe thing to say?
Even adding on top of that, with an elastomeric coating, it's non-disruptive. So you can get in there and get out without tearing roofs up off over people's heads. So yes, it definitely adds life at a fraction of cost to help them get down the road to where they can budget for something longer term maybe. But the really cool thing is they can stay in session and have very little disruptive noise even going on, even knowing they're up there.
That's so true, because you can't disrupt a classroom, and schools will get very sensitive about that, especially sports. Do not mess with the gymnasium or the cafeteria. Don't mess with those two areas. But no, it's so true. You can take a coating and you can create a solution, a watertight, energy efficient solution that gets you far enough down the road that the school can actually plan for it. Have you guys seen your coatings applied on a lot of school systems besides what Coryell Roofing does?
Yeah, we do quite a few schools in the upper Midwest as well.
Okay.
Through Illinois, Minnesota, Iowa. Absolutely. Over the years, we've done a lot of different school buildings.
And are coatings, does it change regionally based on temperatures or application standards?
I think what you see, I shouldn't say think, what I know, you start seeing different competitors in different regions. So when we formulate a coating, and we're going to use it in Minnesota per se, right? Your T sub G, or what freeze point a coating can take, I mean, it gets to minus 30 degrees up in Minnesota. It's got to be tough. So you get different regional players that formulate different. But what we've come to find out is there's value in some of those high tensile, high tough coatings. Not only are they good in Minnesota, but they do really good in the South as well as things age and freeze thaw even down here. That when you look at our formulations and how we perform in the market or on the roofs, it's phenomenal. We get really good success throughout the country.
I can't imagine that. It must be really challenging. I bet you have a mad scientist, chemist that's constantly playing with chemical compounds and trying to come up with solutions that last longer and perform better. I bet that is really interesting to look at.
So honestly, we don't mess with it as much because once it's proven, we don't want to sit there and keep playing with it either. Okay. Or do we have a lot of testing going on with new products and some other things? Absolutely. But as far as our formulas go, I mean, if you don't have problems, don't cause them, right? If it's working, don't create any issues. So we do a lot of testing on new materials, but as far as the chemistries that you are seeing as a contractor, those are all 10 plus years old where we haven't had issues. We're not going to play with them. Now, as we introduce new products and new things like that, it typically takes 3 to 4 years before we ever go to market. Oh, wow. So we'll go do some test roofs. We'll evaluate them, make sure they perform before we ever take it to market. So we're working on some things like that are hoping a labor savings for a contractor, but we're working on some products that are pretty unique.
I was told years ago that silicone coatings were going to be the greatest thing ever. How has that worked out? Are you seeing that? It's not one solution fits every roof. We know that for a fact, but Is silicone a leading performer in the industry?
Silicone has definitely taken the front of the pack for sure. I think it's because there's so many players that are out pushing silicones and educating on silicones that it's really become the front runner. However, looking at our business, like I said earlier, we formulate systems for applications, right? So on metal roofs, we typically don't use silicone. They're really slippery, and most metal roofs are 212 or greater.
Right.
They have a really high dirt pickup, so they tend to get dirty a lot faster than some of the other chemistries. And then they have a really poor tear strength. So as that metal expands and contracts, it puts that extra wear on that silicone, which is actually a third of the strength of an acrylic.
Okay.
So flat roofs that might have some incidental ponding, that's where we put a lot of silicone. Something where you're not going to see, that's not going to be slippery. We do a ton of flat roofs with silicones, and it seems like our industry, though, is starting to push silicones really on everything. We're taking a little different approach. We're still marrying the right chemistries with the right applications.
That's what I love about you guys. I feel like you don't go into any one project with something in mind. You assess the situation, you determine what the right coating application is going to be, and that's what you go with. And I agree with you, Chris. I think we've seen in the industry that everybody wants to push silicone, and quite frankly, silicone is not the solution for every application. So I'm really glad to hear you say that.
Yeah.
What do you guys think, where do you think the industry is going? We've talked about this several times. There really hasn't been a true standard in place for coatings. And I think we've seen that improve somewhat, but do you think we're going to see even more standards come out? Do you think it's going to get better and better as time goes on? What are you seeing in the market right now?
That's a great question. You and I think, first met in 2014.
Yeah.
And we currently still have a seat on the RCMA, which is Reflective Coatings Manufacturers Association. And we push hard. We would love to have standards in place for all chemistries, acrylics, silicones, urethanes, all across the board. Right now, there isn't a standard. And you're starting to see other players, such as ourselves, starting to push for more standards to be followed. But it still has some room to go, for sure.
So the standards that are set, because we're setting the standards that are set for anybody that's considering a coating is really based on the integrity and the ethics of the manufacturer that's willing to represent that product for the life of the product. Is that fair to say?
100%.
Yep, absolutely.
So if you're going to align yourself with a contractor and a coating manufacturer, if you're considering a coating for your property or your building, you want to make sure that the contractor and manufacturer that you're working with understand what standards actually mean, because there's nobody governing it.
As of right now, no. What we put on for minimum millage, which is how thick we put it on, can be completely different to our competitors. So there is no standards that are set up that way right now. So yes, when you are a building owner out looking for getting your roof done, you want to partner with the right people.
Here's something I feel is really interesting. We work with insurance companies throughout the South because we're so storm prevalent. And I've seen an uptick in insurance companies or carriers that actually are accepting coatings as a solution, even if it's just to restore the roof system. Are you guys seeing that as well?
It's a little bit regional dependent and then carrier dependent, but absolutely, we're seeing that route as well.
One of the situations that I was most impressed with was years back, I think it was 2014, 2015 timeframe in the panhandle of Texas, when a large facility took a beating, nasty hailstorm, and literally fractured the single ply membrane all over. And there was zero shot of repairing that roof. And the roof had to be replaced. We knew that. And the insurance carrier knew that as well. And they wanted to replace the roof. But what do you do between the time that it's deemed a total loss and when you can actually get the roof system put on? You know, if it's residential, you're going to put a blue tarp on your house, right? What do you do with a flat roof? What do you do with a commercial grade roof? So in that situation,
I'm smiling because you and I know exactly what roof you're talking about. I mean, we used our coating as a liquid tarp.
Yeah.
it was.
It truly was.
It was ideal. It was intended to be a 90-day solution just to stop the water from coming in the building long enough to get materials in place and on site so that we could install a brand new roof system. And it worked.
It did.
It absolutely worked. Are you guys seeing that in other areas of the country?
It's funny you bring that up. We have over the years, especially during the pandemic, right? There was materials were really, really hard to get, and we probably did more of temp liquid roofs than ever through Colorado, through Missouri, even down here through Oklahoma and Texas. We have done a bunch of that.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. All right. So I'm a superintendent at a K-12 public school in the state of Texas. We're sitting in Dallas-Fort Worth right now. So let's just take a small rural school somewhere around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and they've got a large metal roof, and they're having issues. Walk me through the process. Take me through, how are we going to apply the roof system step by step?
I'll let you hear that one.
Yeah, so I mean, once it's sold, and now we're getting ready to install the actual system itself.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so essentially what you guys as the applicator would do would be power wash the roof, tighten and replace any fasteners as needed, as Chris had kind of spoke about earlier. With the expansion and contraction, you get a lot of fastener back out. Sometimes you get the fasteners that are over tightened, so you get a lot of those grommets that get pinched or squeezed out too much, so you want to replace those as needed. Sometimes if it's like an R-panel roof, you've got fish mouthing or pocketing, so you want to address all that stuff. Once that's done, any oxidation that may or may not be there, we want to inhibit any rust. We've got our seam sealer that you hit, vertical, horizontal, fasteners, any penetrations, which is really our waterproofing mechanism. And then you do a couple of coats of typically our acrylic if it's got pitch and slope. We do have some other chemistries as we've talked about. So if you have greases, oils, fats, something like that in a manufacturing facility, we have some other products that will withstand that. But typically it's a 2-coat application, and then you're done.
And your polyurethane seam sealer is your secret weapon. It's what really seals the building up, correct? So We're going to hit every fastener, every seam, every penetration with the sealer.
Yep, RMS sealant.
Okay.
Gets hit with
I'm trying to really break this down as simple as I can. You use big words, and I like that.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. But you guys deal with these chemical compounds all the time. But again, I'm a superintendent. I know education. And if I'm putting myself in their seat, and I've got to make a decision on one of our properties, or one of our buildings, you're going to seal all the seams, all the fasteners, all the penetrations with a polyurethane seam sealer, correct?
Correct.
Yep.
And then after that, it's a spray or roll applied acrylic coating that goes over the metal?
Correct.
And is it 1 or 2 coatings?
Typically a 2-coat application. If you had rust, you would do a primer coat, and then you do a base and a top coat of our acrylic typically.
Okay.
So it could be up to a 3-coat system, but more times than not, it's usually a 2-coat type of system.
Because of metal, we at 838 require 2 coats. And it's really because we want to get a uniform thickness. As you look at that metal roof, it's corrugated, right? So as we spray that, the reason we make 2 coats, we could do it in one and build the mills up. But because of the corrugation, we want to make sure that on the back of the ribs, the front of the ribs, we're getting that consistent millage or thickness across that field. So that's why at 838, we require on metal 2 coats of application. Regardless of the finish coat, we're always doing 2 coats. It's because we want that uniform thickness for the building owner, that they know the product's there.
And that applies to all metal roofs. So no matter if it's an S corrugated, it's an R panel, it's a standing seam, it's the same process. We're going to hit the exposed fasteners if there are, and then we're going to hit all the seams, and then we're going to do 2 coats of liquid applied acrylic coating onto that metal roof, and then it cures. And then what's your cured thickness once it's done?
Depending on the length of the warranty, but typically on like a standard 10-year system, you're looking at around 18 to 20 dry mill thickness, somewhere in that arena.
18 to 20 mil.
And that's in the field.
And that's
all
in the
your
field.
seams, fasteners, penetrations, they're getting 70 to 80 mils.
Because of that polyurethane seal.
Because that's sealant. So what we do is we put our product where the problems are.
Okay.
We know that a metal roof's going to leak on either seams, fasteners, and penetrations. It's not going to leak in the field. Okay. So we build up all those problem areas, at 70, 80 mils, and then we put 20 mils in the field.
I'm really curious. I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but do you know the age of your oldest coated roof right now?
We have recoated roofs that are on their 3rd cycle. So that would make them currently 30 years old that have coatings on them.
Their 3rd cycle. In other words, you go in at 10 years, you're cleaning the roof system, applying another coating, extending the life another 10 years.
Yeah. The oldest roof we have is in Iowa. It's a black EPM rubber roof.
Okay.
And it's now been coated 3 times. So it is already 15 years old from original existence, and we have now coated it 3 times, which puts it at that life of 30 years past the 15, so it's 45 years old.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
And when you're talking, Jamie, you mentioned earlier, if we're at 30 to 70% savings. So let's just say roof replacement costs $10 a square foot. Coating application costs $3 a square foot. I'm just using simple numbers, right? Because we're at 30%. So if you did that 3 times and got the roof to a 30-year period, you're still only, not considering time value of money, but you're still only at 90% when you've coated it 3 different times versus 100% on the replacement. Is that fair to say?
Yep. So if you look at a life cycle of doing that roof, let's say 2 times, you'd be at $20 a foot. We're at $9 a foot. So
That's
we're
incredible.
more than 50%.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing.
So for school budgets, it makes perfect sense to consider, what can a coating do for you? How can it help you get a little bit further down the road and get into more of an established budget so you can do the planning that you need to do?
Absolutely.
It really makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
So is there anything that people need to be scared of with coatings? Anything they need to be concerned about?
I would say just, when I always talk to building owners, I say pick the contractor you feel most comfortable with, because they're going to do the best thing for you. They're the roof experts. They're going to be able to do the core cuts. The biggest issue that we have is roofs that get coated that shouldn't have been coated. Next thing you know, you just spent $3, $4, $5 a foot, and you get 2 years down the road and the whole roof was already wet. It should never have been coated. So we always push building owners to marry with the right contractor that they have faith is going to do a good job for them. But if you do a roof that is not a candidate for restoration, it literally can be throwing money out the window.
Okay, so tell me what happens if you coat a roof that has moisture underneath it.
So typically what will happen is end up with blisters across the roof, or worst case, you could rot you seal in the moisture, you could rot the metal deck out, you could cause problems where the roof could cave in. I mean, anytime your roof is wet, you need to replace it. And the reason being is you don't want to lock moisture into a substrate and cause wood or metal to rust or rot out. You don't want to have someone potentially fall through the roof or that roof to fall in. You want to make sure that we're restoring a clean and dry substrate.
So the assessment prior to a coating is absolutely critical.
Assessment and prep. Okay. So if you look at assessment, let's figure out it's a candidate, right? So it's a candidate. All right, now we can move forward. The next biggest step is prep, and that's getting the substrate clean enough to accept whatever chemistry you decide to go with.
Okay.
If you get those 2 things right, you're on a pretty good track for success.
If a school district or any commercial client for that matter, but we're focused in on schools right now. So if I'm trying to think in the mindset of a superintendent that is trying to focus on their classrooms, trying to focus on their staff, keep people educated, and they don't need to be thinking about the roofing as being a problem all the time. So if this is a great solution that's cost effective, do they have to have a warranty on it, or is a standard material warranty available?
I'm a big believer of maintenance contracts. I mean, let's put the right system together. If you want a peace of mind to have a warranty on it, that's fine. Do you need to have that? Absolutely not.
Okay.
But I'm a big believer of at least having a roof expert, at least once a year, if not twice, walking that roof, looking for debris, looking for other trades that may have damaged the roof, like an HVAC unit. I'm a big believer on maintenance agreements.
Tell me what you're talking about when you say you don't necessarily have to have a warranty. The product itself, 838 Coatings, has a material warranty.
If you buy a product from us, it automatically comes with a 10-year material warranty.
Okay.
So if we have a manufacturer error in the process and we put our product on the roof and the product completely fails, that's on us to come back and fix that.
Okay.
That's in place. That's a implied warranty. It's always there. If they don't want to pay for the system warranty, which is both for labor and material, your roof already comes with a 10-year limited warranty, regardless of what you decide to do.
What if they do want the 10-year labor and material warranty?
So if they want a 10-year labor material warranty, that's when the pre-inspection, someone from 838 will come out and walk the roof, typically do a job start, especially if it's a newer contractor, if they haven't done a lot of it. Most of the ones that we work with have all got a pretty good track record. Mm-hmm. Once the job is complete, we'll come out and do the final. We typically do some cuts to make sure that the minimum thickness is there. We'll make sure that you didn't miss any steps or seams or anything else that might be leak points. Do the inspection, come back, process the warranty, get them the paperwork, and put in place a 10 or a 15-year system warranty.
Is it much more expensive to go ahead and get the warranty? Is it 10% more to have a material and labor warranty?
Oh, it's probably less than that. They typically run between 5 and 10 cents a square foot.
Okay.
And that will protect you for that 10 or 15 years.
So, and it protects the contractor as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a contractor and you're doing a fluid applied coating, and you choose just to offer the product with the standard material warranty, which covers the product only for 10 years, the contractor has to offer a workmanship warranty on top of that. And most contractors will say, well, it's got a 2-year workmanship warranty or it's got a 5-year workmanship warranty. But for the protection of the building and for the protection of the contractor and the manufacturer, sometimes it would be a good practice to go ahead and purchase a labor and material warranty that carries you all the way through that 10 years.
The nice thing is it gives you a parameter, right? It gives you exactly what's covered. It shows you really what the warranty is going to do, and it's there to protect all parties.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then you can go up from there if you choose, correct? You can go to a 15-year warranty and then even a 20-year warranty.
Yep, and then anything beyond that, typically we would want to do a 2-step process. So let's say you want a 30-year. We can do that, but it'd be in 15-year increments.
Okay.
So at 15 years, we'd come back and inspect it and usually just wash it, put another coat of aesthetic looking elastomeric coating on there to get them another 15 years.
Okay. Well, as you guys know, we work throughout 6 states currently, more coming. We literally just got licensed in the state of Florida. We don't necessarily go into a state and open it up. We go to states where we're requested to come. So we've got multiple states right now where people are asking us to come in. So if you're looking at coating applications in the South, just give me your thoughts on if I was a superintendent, help me understand. I've never heard of coatings before, didn't even know it was an option. Give me your 30-second elevator pitch on why I should consider it.
Basically, we make roofs last longer. So what we come in is we utilize your current roof system as a base or a substrate to utilize our elastomeric coatings. Our coatings are a sacrificial barrier to add life to any roof substrate. So basically, take your roof system, lock it in the condition it's in, take the UV off it, take the moisture off of it, and protect that existing substrate and take that life cycle from 15, 20, all the way up to 30, 40, 50 years for a fraction of the cost. That's our elevator speech right there.
It's a great pitch. I like it. Jamie, you have anything different?
Not really, no. I mean, outside of the 30 to 70% cost savings over like a traditional retrofit, outside of that. But yeah, I mean, we make the roofs last longer and save them money.
That's big. And so the biggest message I think that we can send to anybody listening to this right now is get us out to take a look at your roof. We're not going to know if it's a coating candidate until we get on the roof. We might have to do some destructive testing to determine if there's moisture underneath it, but we'll determine what kind of substrate that you have, what can we apply to, and does 838 have the solution that makes sense? Can we get you a little further down the road with a lot less money out of pocket right now and plan for the future? Any parting comments? We're going to wrap this thing up. Do you have any final thoughts on 838, Coryell?
All I can say, it's been an absolute pleasure working with you guys. I mean, looking at your track record with our warranty program that we have, we get very little callbacks, and I can't even think of the last one if we had any issues at all. So the partnership that we have going with Coryell Roofing and 838 has been fantastic. We love it, and we love working with you guys and your team. You make us look good in the industry, and it's been awesome.
Well, likewise, you guys make us look good. I think it's a great alliance to take to our customers. That's what we're all about. Let's provide solutions that mean something, solutions that really change things for people. And when you look at the financial impact of this and the success rate in getting it further down the road, it's a no-brainer. It's just common sense. Really appreciate you guys being here today. We're all about setting the standard. We're trying to raise the game in roofing. We're trying to raise everybody's awareness. And like you said early on, Chris, this is all about education. So thank you guys for being here. Absolutely. So we can educate our clients.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
That's another episode of Coryell Roofing, Setting the Standard. Really appreciate you being with us. Consider a coating. Get us out to your properties. Get us on your roofs. We'll assess. We'll determine. We'll bring 838 coatings in. Thanks again. Until next time. Bye-bye.